Again, welcome in our platform. Yes, students, we are here today for the discussion of mesh analysis, sometimes also known as a loop analysis. As far as the application is concerned, we all are aware that for the circuit analysis purpose, we need to identify what is the current flow through a particular branch, what is the voltage across through the particular branch. To do that, one of the convenient method is loop analysis or mesh analysis. Let me check how we can apply it in a reality so that it is easy to analyze any circuit. One thing need to keep in mind is it is the step-by-step method. And once we are clear with the all step-by-step procedure to solve any network by applying this method, then it becomes very easy to solve any complex network even. To understand this concept, right now, very simple circuit I have considered. Having two source E1, E2, 4 branches R1, R2, R3 and R4. So first step is what? We need to observe this given network carefully. Why so? We need to identify how many meshes are there in a given network. And for that, our fundamentals should be clear that what is the difference between normal closed path or mesh. Okay, let me first make it clear. In the given network, if we raise the question in our mind that how many closed paths are there, so you can find that there is a 3 closed path. A, B, C, D, A. This is the equal potential point, so no need to assign different notations. So this is the one closed path A, B, D, A. Closed path number 2, B, C, D, B. Closed path number 3. But this all 3 closed paths are not mesh. Mesh is a what? It is a closed path which does not involve any other closed path within it. So with this definition, we can say that A, B, D, A. This is mesh 1. B, C, D, B. This is mesh 2. We cannot say A, B, C, D, A as a mesh. It is not a mesh. So with this, your first step is done. We have identified number of mesh in a given network. Now, step number 2. We have to assume mesh current, or you can say assume loop current. Sometimes it is also known as a tracing of direction. Let's say for first mesh, I am going to consider mesh current. It is my assumption obviously. I1. For second mesh, I am going to consider mesh current with the notation I2. Now here, many questions rise in our mind that is there any particular strategy to decide about the direction of assumed current, mesh current? So I want to say there is no any particular rules. You can either go with the clockwise direction or anti-clock. Right now for the both mesh I have considered clockwise direction. One can also select one as a clockwise, other as anti-clock. Third can also select both as an anti-clockwise direction. It really doesn't matter at the end of answer. So your second step is also over. We have assumed direction of mass. Now, third step. We know that it is the version of Kirchhoff voltage law. And as per the Kirchhoff voltage law, what we want to verify, we can make analysis in terms of EMF, algebraic sum of EMF and algebraic sum of drop. The concept is EMF algebraic sum should be equal to algebraic sum of drop. So for that, it's time to find equations by applying this concept. Now for formula, let me pick this first mesh A, B, D, A. From the starting point of A, this I1 is moving from R1. And obviously resistance is responsible for the drop of voltage, and that drop we can write in terms of R1 and I1. So with this we having first drop term for the mesh 1, that is I1 into R1. Move forward after point B. After point B, this is R2. Now if we observe this R2, this is the common branch between both mesh. So I1 is not only the responsible current for the drop, but I1 and I2 both are responsible. But we need to check what is the relation between this I1 and I2 as far as the middle branch is concerned. Let me trace the path. I1 is moving through R2 from point B to D. But I2, branch of second, is moving from D to B. It means both are having the opposite nature with respect to R2 branch. Question we arise that how to assign the term for drop. Whether it should be I1 minus I2 or I2 minus I1. So remember, one important thing I want to discuss over here that whenever we are discussing about mesh number 1, at that time I1 will be our principal mesh. And again we make assumption that for principal mesh, that mesh current will greater than another mesh current. This is our assumption. Okay, because we don't know about the value of I2 and I1 right now. So this is again, I would like to repeat, it is our assumption that principal mesh current is higher than the second mesh current. So with this, now another term for the drop is for R2, I1 minus I2 into R2. Already we have discussed why both are having a subtractive polarity as far as the direction of both current is concerned. Okay, so second element for mesh is also covered. Move forward. After point D, it's time to consider battery EMF E1. And with this mesh current, we are moving from minus to plus, means we are moving from lower potential to higher. It is nothing but the rise of potential. So obviously it will come in this category E1. Is there any element left in a mesh 1? No. All data we have verified. It's time to reform equation. As per the term, drop term should be equal to rise term. We can write I1 R1 plus I1 minus I2 R2 equal to E1. Again, some reformation is required. Let me find I1 term together. With simplicity, I1 minus sign I2 R2 equal to 1. So with this, formation for equation 1 is ready. Give it number, equation 1. Same thing is required to repeat for mesh 2. For mesh 2, let me start with the point B, R3, just like the previous case, I2 into R3 is your drop term. R4 current is I2, again is a drop term. E2, we are moving from higher potential to lower. It means even though that is the source, we cannot consider by default as a high potential. We need to consider path of tracing only. And as far as the path of tracing is concerned, we are moving from higher potential to lower. That's why this E2 source also will come in category of drop. So E2 is there. Move forward. D to B. R2 branch is there. Remember what we have discussed in the first mesh analysis. So here this R2 is also responsible for the drop term, but now the net current is I2 minus I1. Remember, principal mesh minus another branch, another mesh current. Okay. So with this, we can observe that there is no any rise term for the mesh number 2. It's simple to write second equation. This all will be summative equal to 0. And just case, reformation is required so that we having a proper form of equation in term of I1 and I2. If you reform that, you may have two equations. Remember, number of equations are always equal to the number of mesh, and it is quite easy to solve these both equations. You all are very much aware with that. It helps us to find I1 and I2. At once your I1 and I2 answers are known to us, it is easy to find branch current of any element. Suppose in data it is given that find out branch current of R1. This I1 itself is a branch current for particular element. So in that way you can correlate mesh current values with the branch current values, and you are able to find solutions of any network. I hope you have learned very important fundamental from the video. Thank you so much.